So, Michael, you have a long history of telling the church's story through the written word. Tell us why you kind of embrace that call from God and really have dedicated so much of your life to either like covering news of the church or publishing books and just, kind of helping us unpack the life and the happenings of our church.
Well, I think one of the biggest things for me is that I realize our faith is something that is communicated. And so in order for you and me and anyone else to grow in the faith, we have to receive something. So I try to participate in that aspect of the church's ministry to communicate the faith. That to me is very important. I find it to be something that is a natural fit, I guess. And so I was grateful to have opportunities come up along the way, and especially enjoy telling stories of individuals who've lived holy lives who can help us all to not only attain holiness ourselves, but hopefully bring others along with us.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about your writing. I love how you unpack the lives of the saints and the holy men and women, right? And really is to look at them as examples and to encourage us on our journey. What kind of drew you into that like niche of publication and writing?
Well, I guess it's a couple different factors. I enjoy history, I enjoy research, and I enjoy looking for lived examples of how I can live the gospel. And so I guess maybe above all else, it was a personal quest. And then I thought, wow, these are some really interesting things that I hopefully can share. And I think that each of us, each and every day needs to realize that we're called to be saints. We should get up with that first and foremost on our minds, because all else comes from that reality. And that's one of the great things about being here is the Eucharist is the real key to all that.
Yeah, and I think it's so true. I was walking through the exhibit hall yesterday and I saw this Matthew Kelly quotes, something to the effect of, the church doesn't need another Mother Teresa. It doesn't need another St. Francis of Assisi. The church needs you, right? And so what do you say to the person who's picking up your book to study the lives of the saints? Or, what do you say to someone to say, follow their example so that you could become your, best self and really set the world on fire?
Well, I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to communicate well is that as baptized men and women, we're all called to take up the cross of Christ and follow him. A lot of people don't realize how integral suffering is to that call of holiness, and we all deal with it, but it's how we process it. And in the lives of the saints, I think we can see a very consistent narrative of suffering. And for me, that's one of the kind of key aspects that I look for when I'm telling a story, because I think it's so relatable. And I think it helps people to transcend kind of the woe is me mentality, but whoa, wait a minute, this can be a gift. And this is how I can offer myself, join myself to Christ crucified, to make my life a Eucharistic offering so that I can therefore transform the world.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I do love that, how the saints, like, when you think about perseverance, when you think about so many virtues, but with that whole like resting everything on Jesus. No matter what, in the moments of joy, in the moment of sorrow, they just completely place their lives, in his heart.
That's exactly right. And I think that, when you look at the church's liturgical life, the church's sacramental life, the church's life and teaching ministry, you see all these aspects of how we are to make Christ's life our own. I always think of the rosary, various popes, I think it was Paul VI, that it's the gospel in miniature. And when we look at all the aspects of Christ's life, we should be looking at them in our own life and kind of have a relationship with him in each of those aspects of his life, many of which, of course, are suffering, but also glory, joy, and, bringing the light of God to others.
Yeah, and speaking of that light of God, I mean, you could just feel the joy and energy here. So, people are starting to, come into Indianapolis for this beautiful National Eucharistic Congress. But, why is this moment so important? Why is it so important for the life of the church, for the life of the church in the United States? I mean, for all of us as faithful Catholics.
Well, it's a phrase we often hear, that the Eucharist is the source and summit of the Catholic life. But it's also, something that we can easily forget, we can easily neglect. And I think this is really an opportunity for us to focus on that intrinsic reality of our faith. The bishops have been organizing this for several years and have been very clear that they want us to return to a very Eucharistic-centered life. A lot of Eucharistic devotions have been lost and things, and they've been coming back. You look at the National Eucharistic Pilgrimages and really how I think they've been so successful in touching individuals and really leaving a mark on people's souls. And so now we all gather here in Indianapolis, and I think that, gathering with each other in community as the body of Christ and in strengthening our resolve to be Christ to others, it's a real gift for the church here in this country.
Yeah, I can't agree. I can't agree more. And just, pray that these days for us are, grace-filled moments, but also that kind of sending forth for us to really go and set the world on fire, because the world needs us.
Yep. As every Mass ends, go forth. The Mass is ended. We're sent out, not just to be spectators at Mass, but we're sent out to be the apostles in the world. And so I really think that the thousands and thousands that'll be leaving Indianapolis have a great opportunity, and I hope we take it.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you for being with us, and thank you for all you've done to support our church and all that you've written, whether it's through your news coverage or your books. It really has left an impact on our church and for us to really just understand our faith more deeply and more fully. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all the good work you do.